Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome to Prime Time. Here with
There you go.
another episode of Sinister's Horror Stash. We went into my stash. We pulled something out. We had a lot of fun with the first two episodes. So this next episode is gonna be fun. This one a little different. Might be a little different based off of the
Mhm.
first two. We kind of went with the zombie. This one we're going more slasher, more 90s with
Exactly.
1998's Urban Legend. Now you were the one who thought we brought it up. So joined as always the man who behind Welcome to Prime Time, the Hitman Hunter Chambliss. What's up, man? And tell us why you picked Urban Legend for the next movie to do.
All right, how's it going, guys? So, on this channel, if you guys have ever watched the podcast, you know that it is a running theme that I absolutely love Urban Legend. I know everybody else does not like it. It hits home for me because of the fact that Scream was the first horror movie that got me into horror. So that style has always kind of lived with me. And whether it's The Faculty or Urban Legend or I Know What You Did Last Summer, those are the type of slashers that I tend to lean towards. And Urban Legend has that perfect mix of that Scream comedy with really, really stacked cast and a really great idea. You're muted.
Yeah, man, that was it's definitely a packed a cast, bunch of faces that I recognize, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
This movie did come around the time as you mentioned, Scream. I know you did last summer, and I do I guess I kind of consider myself a fan of slashers, but I'm starting to realize as I'm watching more and more slashers that I'm starting to have a kind of like more a different style. I don't like all slashers.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and get to my thoughts on the movie. Um, Not my favorite, man.
That's
I
fair.
wanted to like this movie a lot, but it does have very heavy. I Know What You Did Last Summer
Hmm.
vibes, and I do like that movie,
Yeah.
but I don't like. I don't like. I guess like movies that are too close to it because it's not something that I enjoy as much.
Yeah.
It is the kind of hokey slasher
Hmm.
that slashers love. That slasher lovers love.
Hmm.
And that's how I'm kind of starting to realize that I might not be the biggest slasher fan because I like something a little different in my movies.
Hmm.
And when you do something and if it works, it works. Like there are moments in this movie that I enjoy a lot.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy a lot, especially I like the basic premise behind the movie
Hmm.
of what the serial killer is doing, which we'll get to in a minute. But for me, I just and it did have some faces that I enjoy. Michael Rosenbaum is one I love. Michael
Yeah.
Rosenbaum, he best Flash. Just saying, the best Flash to have ever graced.
The best Lex, in my opinion.
Best best Lex Luthor without a doubt. So you know, some faces there. I actually liked our leading lady. I don't
Hmm.
think I've seen her in anything else, but Alicia Witt, which is
Yeah,
like
Alicia
she
Witt.
has a face that looks familiar, but I
Hmm.
don't think I've seen anything she's in, or if I have, it was like something small. But yeah, you have Michael Rosenbaum. Obviously, Jared Leto is the big name. Um, I don't even know. This is right before Fight Club. Uh, Fight
Yeah.
Club is in '99,
Hmm.
and so this is right before
Funny
Fight.
thing, Jared Leto does not remember being in this movie, which is weird.
That's funny. That's actually,
He has
um,
he has said in interviews that he does not remember this movie, and I'm like, I don't know if he's playing up to it or if he generally doesn't remember. Um, but this cast is stacked. When you look at our leads are Jared Leto, Alicia Witt, Rebecca Gayheart, Tara Reid,
Tara
Michael
Reid.
Rosenbaum, Robert England
Mm-hmm.
plays the um
The Professor
the
Wexler.
yeah Wexler, Brad Dourif in the opening scene. The the voice of
Oh
Chucky.
yeah, that's right.
You've got Danielle Harris as the roommate, who, if you guys don't know who Danielle Harris is, she was oh my god, why am I forgetting her name from the Halloween franchise?
Ooh, hold on.
Give me 1 second because this is gonna annoy the fuck out of me.
Yeah, good. Oh, Joshua Jackson is one that like a face that's
Joshua
kind of recognizable.
Jackson.
We've seen him a few
Jamie
times.
Lloyd.
Jamie Lloyd.
Yeah, she was Jamie Lloyd in the Halloween franchise. Yeah, Joshua Jackson right before he would do Scream 2. Also, another a Scream 2 alumni is Rebecca Gayheart. So they did this movie,
Yes.
and then they shot Scream 2 right after. So both of these actors both appeared in both Urban Legend and then Scream 2 in the same year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. There's a lot of names, a lot of faces. And I want to just point one out. You have the janitor, played by Julian Richings, which I know him as Death from Supernatural. So that was a cool little to see. And I'm a big fan of the
big shout out to Loretta Devine, who plays the cop. She is awesome.
Yes, I love her. I love her in basically everything she does. She always stands out. She might not always be a character that I enjoy. She might not be a character that I like, but she's usually doing her job. If I don't like her in a movie or a show, it's probably because I'm not supposed to. But yeah, man. So good cast around that sweet spot of 90s slashers.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I know what you did last summer. Scream being, I think Scream, like, it feels very Scream in terms of like,
yes.
Each character does kind of like do its best at least to stand out. There are some that it doesn't quite do it at the level of Scream does, which is the main reason why I love Scream. And why like mainstream slashers don't always work for me. It's because you gotta put in the performance. You gotta put in the performance in order to get me into it. Like with Scream, you have the performances by everybody basically. Nev,
Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy, Skeet,
Ulrich, Matthew Lillard.
Why am I blanking on Tatum?
Rose McGowan.
Rose McGowan, thank you. Yes, Rose McGowan. They all stand out in their own way. And in this one, there are a few characters that stand out, but not all of them. And some of them that are kind of disappointing when it goes into. I know that what's his name? Let me pull up his name before I forget it. Joshua Jackson. Yes, sorry, Joshua Jackson as Damon. When that character has his moment, I'm kind of like, disappointing. But it's the 90s, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, let's go ahead and start getting into the plot of the film.
Yep.
So the film starts with we're with our first actress in the movie. Why am I blanking on it? Her name in the Michelle Mancini, played by Natasha Gregson Warner.
Which, by the way, I did not realize her last name was Mancini, which is great because she comes in contact with Brad Dourif. If you guys know, Brad Dourif played Chucky in the Child's Play franchise, and the Child's Play movies were created by a guy named Don Mancini, so it works on multiple different levels.
Yeah, and that's another name that's like you said, another face that's immediately just you see it and you're like, oh, I know him, even if you don't necessarily know where you know him from. You're like, oh, he's just a face that I know. So she's driving in the car. It's raining. She's singing. She's having a great time. She needs gas. She pulls over to the gas station, and Brad Dourif, he's the one that he's the gas station clerk. It seems like, and he's immediately creepy. He's immediately like, oh, this dude is off-putting. And
the one thing I love is that he's not. It doesn't seem like he's intentionally creepy.
No.
Like he's not hitting on her or anything. He just has a stutter and he looks weird in the rain. So the idea of like, well, I'm in this area where I don't know anybody. I've got to stop for gas in this rundown gas station, and this guy is stuttering to get his words out, so he's gonna freak me out being alone. Yeah. That's where the terror comes from, not him intentionally being creepy.
Yeah, no, he literally she gives him the card to put some gas in the car. because it's raining, and so he comes back out and he mentions, hey, the credit card company, the bank is calling. They need you to like okay some charges. And of course she's like a little wary, kind of hesitant to go do that, and we completely understand.
Oh yeah.
Gets into the gas station and it's immediately creepy. Lights are out. She goes to the phone and the phone is dead. The phone is not working, and so obviously she is scared, freaks out. He's trying to tell her something.
He's trying to explain the situation to her.
Yeah, and she's not. She won't. She's freaked out. He's not able to get it out because he obviously has a stutter. And when you're in situations like this, people with stutters, it gets worse.
You can't speak.
It's worse, and so he isn't able to get it out. She defends herself, I guess, in her mind. She defends herself. She's trying to get away. She gets into the car, and then
I love this whole scene.
As she's driving away, Brad Dourif just screams, "Someone's in your backseat."
And it's good.
Great. And it's like, it sounds creepy when he's saying it, but it's just like that finally, like, just being able to get it out at the same time, like scared because he knows something's gonna happen. And then we're cut to her driving. She's singing, and there is
she's singing while crying, which is great.
And there's a certain part of the song where it says something, and you're like, "That's gonna come back."
Yeah, it's turn around, so it's like turn around.
Yeah, and you're just like, that's when you see the glare of the street light, and you see just the dark figure holding the axe. I will say my thing that I like about this movie, I love the weapon of choice.
Yes.
One thing I don't like about the I know
it's the costume.
Summer, but I don't know why I don't like about the I Know You Did Last Summer franchise is I don't enjoy the hook.
Wow. That's
it's not my favorite. It's just something like I'm looking at. I'm like, there's better ways to use. There's better weapons to use.
That's fair.
But I love the axe. Like that's such a like different, and it's something that like it's menacing. The visual of it is menacing, and so great weapon of choice for the killer in this one. And she gets decapitated in her car while driving. Which is like, geez, this killer has no regard for their own life.
Not at all.
Might possibly be supernatural because I'm just saying, like, jokingly, like the amount of damage that the killer takes.
I actually like to. I know some people say, especially in like Scream 5 and Scream 6, that like Ghostface is pretty much supernatural because he can take, a lot of damage. But that's the entire franchise of Scream, so it doesn't bother me as much.
I don't think it doesn't take me out of the movie.
Yeah. Same with this one. I enjoy the story enough that I just don't care.
And we'll get to it later, but there's a reason why it works. Why I don't care. I don't care that the killer is supernatural. We'll get to that later. So yeah, man, we're going to go ahead, and now we're cutting into a
So
I'm sorry.
Before we get into the actual opening, what did you or the actual
movie?
What did you think of this opening?
The opening is good. It's not great. It's not amazing, but it's good. It's an enjoyable. It's an enjoyable intro. Like you said, you get the cameo of Brad Dourif. And I think that I'm saying that I love the weapon of choice, and actually I don't mind the look of the killer. I think it's a good look.
Yeah.
It's not anything crazy. It's not anything amazing, but it's a good look. And I think the act, because you let the axe to do all the talking. You let the axe do the work. The menace of the weapon. You don't need a crazy mask. You don't need something over the top. Just something simple. A dark figure holding an axe, a shiny axe, by the way. Very, very shiny. So I think it works. I enjoyed the opening. I did laugh at the turnaround.
That was so good.
It's like
I really love when they can incorporate music in such a funny way like that. Like a lot of movies do that where they'll play a line from a song and it works with the moment. So the whole turn around, she's singing the turnaround part, One, it's meta, and two, it's kind of a nice wink at the audience of like, look, we know what we're doing here. I think this opening is really good. It actually, I watched this movie on a whim the first time, and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. This opening got me into the rest of the movie because of how much I love this opening, and that's probably because I did notice some of the Easter eggs. I did notice like Brad Dourif is awesome as always. I think the main girl of the opening is really good. And it was, again, they made Brad Dourif creepy by not making him like, saying like, oh, you're beautiful or you're pretty or like touching her hair. It was just the way he was presented wasn't a creep, but because of the rain and everything surrounding it, it was a creepy scene.
Yeah, it's a creepy situation, especially as a woman being by herself traveling.
Yeah,
in the middle of nowhere, like it's completely understandable. And Brad Dourif was able to create this aesthetic of creepiness without actually being creepy, without being over the top, and completely understandable why. He's also trying not to alert the killer that he knows. Like he's trying to, but while also getting this information to the woman. So you get it. It's
which is great because he even, as he's like, oh, are you getting gas? And you can see he looks in the back of the car and he sees somebody back there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to confront them because they have a weapon. So then he's like, how can I get her out of the car? That way, when she comes in, I can explain the situation to her.
Yeah. Which, man, like if she would, because it didn't seem like the killer was suspicious of him. So the killer didn't like have any, there was no hurry, trying to like force it. The killer was there and stayed there. So like if she would have just,
listened to him, she would have been alive.
But at the same time, I understand.
We understand, yeah.
We understand. It was a creepy situation. But yeah, man, so now we cut to a campus, a coffee shop, and we're introduced to our main character of Natalie Simon, played by Alicia Witt, and then also her friend, Brenda Bates, played by
Rebecca Gayheart.
Rebecca Gayheart, yes.
I love her in this movie. She is amazing.
I'm sorry. It's because it also cut to Parker, Michael Rosenbaum's character, telling everybody the
story that we saw in the beginning.
Yeah, so they're obviously telling urban legends to each other at this coffee shop, and obviously Natalie and Brenda don't. Or Natalie does not care for it. Brenda believes it. You also have Tara Reid's character, who is in on it too. Oh, and who's doing like a radio show that's also introduced in a very hilarious.
It is so good.
That's like a sex advice show.
Yeah, it's like a sex positive like advice show. Yeah, as you said, where like people will call in with their issues in their relationships and things like that. The only thing that, dude, I laughed so hard when we immediately meet her character and she's being asked about what do I do if I don't like the taste of semen of my boyfriend. She's like, you just gotta, be a trooper, go for it. And she like gives a blowjob to the mic.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive scene. It's very reminiscent of like what we were seeing around like time when American Pie was coming out and all that. It's college, doing college things. And so yeah, they're also talking about the Stanley Hall massacre. Sorry, my dogs are barking.
No, it's fine. So yeah, we were talking about the Stanley Hall massacre.
And then that's when we're introduced to Paul Gardner, who is Jared Leto, and he basically says that's an urban legend that's not real.
It is funny that Jared Leto plays two characters named Paul in movies that come out 2 years after each other.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. One of my favorite scenes. But yeah, so we go ahead and go on, and what's it right here saying? we cut to the classroom, right? We cut to the classroom of the urban legends, or well, it's the folklore classroom, which is taught by Professor Wexler, played by Robert England. That was a nice little surprise seeing them. Like, hey, Robert England. It's all anytime he pops up, you're just like, hey, Robert England.
Yeah, Freddie.
Yeah, and then and it's cool to see him doing. I don't think I do much acting outside of obviously Freddie. So it's nice to see him without the makeup, without the garb on. And obviously he's still a really good actor.
Yeah, he's Robert England. Like, a lot of people don't know this. He is like a theater trained actor.
I know. See, I didn't know that, but I love him, and we'll obviously get to Freddy, the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
100%.
That's a given. But yeah, we got to the classroom, and he's talking about the babysitter, when a stranger calls.
When a stranger calls.
Urban legend. He's telling that and saying that that's just an urban legend that didn't actually happen, never happened. And Tara Reid's character steps up, says, I know someone that did. And it's like, well, everyone assumes.
Everyone says they know people who have experienced this.
Yes, but he points out
that's how the urban legend grows.
Yeah. So, and Alicia, that's when Brenda comes up. He has Brenda come up to test a urban legend, and it's. As soon as he pulled the Pop Rocks out, I was like, I know Pop Rocks and soda.
Yep.
That as a kid. And
she's immediately like,
yeah, she's
like freaking out.
And Damon steps up and says he'll do it.
I love this scene so much.
He does it. Takes the Pepsi to the product placement.
Yep.
Drinks the Pepsi, and it's funny because a part of me was thinking like, wouldn't it be funny if something happened? Wouldn't it be amazing if something happened? And then he starts doing the fake. He starts faking it, obviously. Which the commitment by the character. I'm talking about the character, not even the actor. The commitment by the character.
Dude, Michael Rosenbaum's his character when he's like, he realizes he's faking, and he's like, absolute legend. This man. He's
a hype man. He's his wingman. So that's what you do with your boy. You hype him up. You be like, "That's the best thing ever." It's not though. And then after this class is over, that's when all the kids eventually find out that Michelle Mancini has been killed, has been murdered, and that it looks like that no one wants to really talk about it. They're trying to keep it on the down low. Paul is the one that. He's the newspaper editor, or he's a journalist. Sorry, not journalist. He's not the editor. He's a journalist, and he wrote the story. And he's trying to get some insight into what Brenda and Natalie think. And Natalie is very clearly upset and offended, and is not okay with the way he is. And Paul has some lines where you're like, I don't like this guy.
I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're supposed to like him till the end.
Yeah, he's supposed to have there's even a point where I was even thinking is Paul the murderer? So it's it's trying to keep that up.
That's a great thing about these movies, especially in a whodunit. You get so many different red herrings. It's like it could be Paul, it could be anybody in the friend group could be the killer. You just don't know.
Yeah, and that is that is a part of the slashers that you have to nail, and why I think sequels kind of have a hard time living up to the first one, because the
first one is so unique.
Yeah, the first one's so unique, and Scream is even have, I think, a couple misses where you're like, oh, okay, but then it has some ones that hit it, that nail it. I know what you did last summer kind of only does it in the first one. I don't like it too much.
Nobody likes the third one, man.
No, and the reason why I like this from this past year, the reason why I like Thanksgiving is because I did not guess the killer, and I
still need to watch that one. I know it's on Netflix now. I'm gonna check it out.
Definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a slasher fan. Like I was saying, that one has a killer that I didn't guess and that
Mhm.
I didn't pull. So that definitely adds to the likability of a movie. And
Yeah.
this one did a good job and made it. There was even a scene where I was like, "Is it Loretta Devine?" She was a little mean, but then she obviously that was like early on in the movie. So I was like, "Ooh, that'd
She's
be
the only actor from this movie that comes back in the sequel.
interesting. Interesting. That's
Yeah.
crazy." So yeah, then we kind of like cut to, also introduced to we're seeing Natalie go to her dorm for the first time, and her roommate is just
And
sex.
we meet goth version Danielle Harris, which is
Yes.
amazing.
And she clearly is a very sex positive person. She doesn't mind because she's basically pissed off because she turns the light on. She's like, "Hey man, like we're doing
Which
something."
comes back later. I love it when they do that.
This is one of the things I loved about that scene is one of the things I loved about the movie. So then we go to and she goes to sleep and she's the headphones on, listening to music, which throwback. I used to do that. Not good. Not safe. Don't do that, kids.
Don't sleep with headphones on.
Everything's nowadays everything's wireless.
Yeah.
There's no cords. But yeah, so we jump ahead the next day and we find out that Damon is leaving soon. Damon is going on a snowboarding trip. But before he does out with Natalie, he picks her up just to hang out with her. And he comes on to her.
Of course.
Way. Yeah, he has to come on the sleazy way, going so far as to lie about having a dead girlfriend.
Yeah.
He finds out that. Also, we found out. I totally forgot to mention. We found out that Natalie knew Michelle. They were friends in high school, and so that's why in this moment she's reaching out. Actually, like reaching out to Damon, like telling him something, which is like letting him into this moment. That's why I'm like, kind of feels like they have a established relationship. Beyond this, and then he turns out to be the sleazy. He turns out to be the good guy / sleazy guy who's like, I'm just waiting for the perfect moment. And then the audacity to use a dead girlfriend is wild.
It's the 90s, man.
Yeah, like it's crazy, like to think that will work. And like, I mean, and the reason why we like Alicia Witt in this role is because she gives off like immediately. There's no like, oh, like when she realizes, she's like, oh, and she's like kind of like going into it.
She knows he's full of bullshit. When he brings the dead girlfriend.
And she's kind of like continuing it to like get him let his guard down, and then just right to the face when Damon goes in for the kiss.
You're freezing a little bit on me.
Am I? I can try and I can cut out. I can go get out and then come back in.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
All right, let's see if I'm better.
You look good. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, we'll come back into it. All right, so yeah, we're in the car. She punches Damon, and I like how she just like she's not even like I'm leaving, like fuck this, like she's just like, dude, take me home. Like,
yeah, she's like, you have the car, you invited me out, take me home.
Yeah, you're taking me home. So he's like, he has to go take a piss before he leaves.
Of course.
And that just shows us how strong Natalie is as a character. That she's like, at least she can stand up for herself. She has no problem speaking up and you know, calling people out on their bullshit. And that was that was a great scene and really helped us with liking Natalie as a character. So
while whole scene, I absolutely love. I love when it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh no, I'm saying like okay, like because I'm opposite. I don't enjoy this scene.
I enjoy the scene because I know of the tale that it's based on, which is the Lover's Lane. If you guys don't know the urban legend, two people go to Lover's Lane. They hear that there's a masked hook-wielding killer on the loose, and pretty much at the end, the boyfriend gets hung up on a tree, and he's dangling. And then the girl that he's with meets him at the end, or she sees him, hanging from the tree. I think the way they did this was unique because he goes out to take a piss, and you don't see where he goes. Like, you see him, pissing, and then it cuts right back to Natalie's character. It was kind of, waiting for him, and then she falls asleep. And then in the morning she wakes up, and you hear the nails on the car. And then what makes it worse is that she actually is the one that kills him, because she drives off trying to hit the killer with the car and chokes him at the same time. I think it was a really unique way of taking that urban legend and kind of spinning it on its head.
Yeah. What that tells me is that they couldn't use the hook because I Know What You Did Last Summer had just come out.
To be fair, they didn't have to use the hook because of the fact that, like, there is a killer on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that kind of already taken care of, where it's like, there's a killer out here. We're in a Lover's Lane type place. So now let's get to the meat of the urban legend.
Yeah. I think maybe the part that I don't like about the scene is the killer being on top of the car. I think would have been much more effective if, and help the killer look a little bit more menacing, if the killer killed Damon, hung his body in whatever way, and Natalie comes out looking for Damon and finds him. I think that's where, like, the killer didn't need to be on top of the car. Mm-hmm. Then you end up seeing the killer basically kind of getting one-upped on early on. And
or was it the killer's plan to have Natalie kill Damon? Because
yeah, it could have been.
When you realize who the killer is at the end, it does make sense that they would position this in a way where Natalie is actually the one who kills Damon.
Yeah, and that's fair. And because it's also very gaslighting. This movie is very gaslighting.
It is.
They're completely gaslighting the Natalie in this movie with good reason, because Natalie runs. She's able to escape from the killer. Unfortunately, Damon does die. He does pass. And she finds the cop, Reese Wilson, Loretta Devine, and they go out to go find the body, and the body's gone completely, and it looks like she's lying.
Yeah.
So Reese doesn't believe her, and then there's the next day when they're talking about it. When she's talking about it, she talks about it to Parker, to Mike Rosemont's character, and he tells him, like, that he's pranking you. He completely pranked you. He's the master.
Which again makes sense when you look at, one, he has pulled pranks like this that we've seen in the movie before, and two, it was already established that he was already gone to that ski trip.
Yeah.
So they're like, I like when movies don't leave loose ends like that, or they're like, okay, this guy is dead, but let's have these Easter eggs of, okay, he's a prankster, so this could obviously be a prank. And he's going to be gone for spring break to a ski resort, so that's why we don't see his body.
Yeah, the script is actually pretty tight. The script's not all over the place like you would expect from, like, these, like, those slashers that kind of come and go type of thing. The script's actually pretty decently tight, because there are those moments that come back, like we're about to get to right now with Natalie. She's going. We're cutting to her character, her roommate. Sorry, why am I blanking on her name? It's not Tosh.
Give me 1 second, because there is a moment that we missed with Damon, like another one of his pranks, where they do, her and Brenda do the Bloody Mary in the door, and then Damon, like, hits the door and scares the fuck out of him. I love the way that Brenda says Bloody Mary, she like exaggerates it. She's like Bloody Mary, like she just enunciates all of the words completely.
Yeah, and Natalie's me, where I'm like, you say the last one. Blame Mary. I'm ready to get out of here.
You're just ready to leave.
I don't believe it, but I'm not going to take a chance.
I'm not chancing it. Yep.
So I definitely related to Natalie in that scene. That's good. I don't want to be here. Yeah, I did forget about that. Like, obviously, putting the evidence that he is one of these pranksters, and everyone knows him as that. That's his reputation. And so whenever his body's gone, everyone just assumes that he just pranked you. Which, like, man, that is a fucked up prank. Like,
but it's a prank he would do though, because he literally did it in the opening scene.
So then we cut to Tosh. Tosh is the roommate. Sorry, and she's chatting online. Old school computer, old school internet, and some instant messaging.
AOL.
Yeah, they're meeting up with some. She's planning to meet up with some guy to do lithium, which is like, that's a heavy downer. Like, why are you doing lithium? Stop! Don't do lithium.
Super goth of it, man.
Yeah, like, you just want to sleep? Like, that's lame. So she says they're having them back and forth. She's getting ready, and then she says, "What room are you in?" And he messages
Yours.
back, "How did he do it?" Yours.
So good.
And right behind her, and this is my favorite scene in the movie, because it is set up. It is completely set up to, like, oh, when Natalie walks in, because she's getting strangled. There's no hiding it. She's getting strangled on her bed, and right before Natalie walks up, she just to point out, just to show you how much everyone knows Tosh to be this reputation. They let her know, like, hey, your
roommate's doing it again.
Yeah, Tosh is having a good time right now. So,
and
Natalie's like, thanks for warning me. She walks in, and right before she's about to hit the light, she remembers getting yelled at for turning the light on. So she just goes like that. She's not looking, and there's there's noises that are death noises, but they sound very sexual. They are very
sexual. I love that. I love the fact that it's not like her screaming help or anything. It's her sounding like she's being strangled, but it could also be interpreted as moaning noises.
And you could assume, like, she probably has, like, walked in on some crazy shit and is, like, probably like, oh, she's into that kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So, whatever. I'm just gonna go to sleep. And she puts the earphones on. And right around this moment is when I realized what the urban legend was. And I love this urban legend. I do too. I was literally looking on the walls as the camera was panning, and you finally see it. She pulls back the cover to see that Tosh has been completely bled out. She cut, her wrists are cut to make it look like a suicide. It's not a suicide.
I love that.
But made to look like a suicide, and because of the time, that will come into play.
They immediately think that, of course, the goth would kill herself. So
yeah, which is like, hey man, like I wasn't a goth, but I was definitely like an emo kid, and we don't like that to just be thrown out. But yeah, that was the image back then.
Yeah.
So everyone just assumed that she did it, and when you get the reaction shot of
so good.
Of Natalie, you see on the back where it says, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn out the lights?" And I'm like, oh, I love
turn on the lights. Yeah.
I love that. I love that scene because I love that urban legend. That's an urban legend that I think always kind of gives me the chills. No matter how many times I read it, how many different versions I read it or see it, it affects me.
I wonder if the reason I love this movie so much is because I know when I was a kid, I loved watching shows about urban legends and like just reading up on the ideas of urban legends. So when I watched this movie for the first time, I knew all of the urban legends that they were doing, especially the ending one, which we'll get to, the catalyst for all of this happening. That's a real urban legend that I heard growing up as well. So I like being like, oh, this is from that urban legend, or they use that in a unique way that I really loved.
Yeah, and like that makes sense. That's why I said I like the premise of the movie. Like the general premise of the movie. I do enjoy that because I do like those stories. It reminds me of like those old classic scary stories you read in the dark.
Yeah.
Things like that. But these are like more modern urban legends. So they did feel a little closer. And I think that's why that that one gets to me because like my fear, I think a genuine fear that I have is like someone breaking into my house.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I have that's a genuine fear. So like that story just always kind of gets to me. Especially like when it's like ones where it's like there's no explanation. It's not like there's no backstory behind the characters. There's just a crazy person that.
So like The Strangers.
Yeah, exactly. That's terrifying. I love
which
that movie.
One that we have to talk about before chapter 1.
Without a doubt. So yeah, we're now we're going to. Obviously, no one believes that she was murdered because and Reese the character played by Loretta Devine, she actually has like a legit reason to be like you already did the one where Damon was no body. Now this, like, did you see? She's like, did you see him?
Did you see her?
Did you see her with somebody? And she was like, no, because she didn't look up. She didn't look at all. And when Reese asked, why didn't you look? If you thought if it sounded like something was happening, and she says like, I didn't want to see something that I didn't want to see, which you completely understand.
Could work on 2 levels.
Yeah, like you understand both sides. Like you feel for Natalie, but you also like I understand why you can't believe her. And so upset, she goes to Brenda, and this is when she tells Brenda the whole truth. This is when we find out the whole truth. Not only that Michelle and Natalie were best friends, but that they had an incident happen where they were playing a prank. They were doing that urban legend of the.
That's the one I heard.
Initiation, the headline gang initiation, which is like I feel like that's something I've heard. Like I heard before, but I hadn't even thought about it.
That was a big thing in my family. Like we don't live out in the hood or anything like that, but my mom is always careful about doing the high beams at night because that urban legend. Because she doesn't know. Because you never know who's behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And 2, you don't want to initiate something that you could have not caused.
Yeah, for sure. Which when I don't think I remember that urban legend as much. I don't think I heard it as much, but like that is something that would be scary. That is something that like hearing that I'm like, oh man, that's actually like something I would look out for now. That is some real. There are some crazy, having grown up in the hood as a kid, there are some crazy gang initiations, and you can become one not based on your fault at all. Like just literally some kids trying to get into a gang, they'll do something insane. So yeah, that's terrifying. And Brenda kind of like Brenda's there for her. You know, she's fine. She's there for her. Paul is investigating, and he discovers that the Stanley Hall massacre actually occurred with William Wexler. So the Natalie and Paul are talking about this, and they go after the janitor. They go to the janitor because he clearly I think he hears them singing. If I remember correctly, he hears them talking, and he kind of walks away fast.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you know anything? And he just says Wexler. Ask Wexler. So they go to Wexler to talk about him. And they go to Wexler's office and break into his office, look for some things. And what did they find?
They found a coat that looks exactly like the killer's coat, but it's just because he's leaving to go. I think he's going somewhere for over the spring break that he would need a coat like that. And they find an axe. That's right, the axe. That was the big one. And Wexler walks in, discovers it, takes them to the dean's office, and Dean Adams actually ends up getting onto Paul, saying you've been causing nothing but trouble, you're done. And Paul tries to tell him there's a clause or you're not allowed to talk to the paper, and he's like, no, I already talked to your editor, you're fired, you're done. And so they leave, and we get the murder of Dean Adams, which was a good. I love this scene too. It's so good. This one, I couldn't pull the. I don't think this is an urban legend. Okay, was this just or if it is, it's a very obscure one. Okay, but this is a cool kill for sure. The nick of the heel. the Achilles heel
Don't
slice.
like that. Don't like that. That hurts a lot.
And what's cool is when that happens, of course, there's a lot of blood, but you can see him when he's crawling. It's like a trail leading to where the tire spikes are.
Yeah, because there's that area of that down there. I feel like we've all heard it where like if you nick it, basically all the blood in your body just comes rushing out.
Yeah.
And you lose all. So he's basically dying. He's trying to crawl out. And the killer crawls out from underneath the car, which what I like about this killer is not afraid to get into the tight spots.
No.
And this killer is patient and will wait. So, because that is a tight spot. If anyone who's ever been underneath a vehicle, it is not
claustrophobia, bro.
It is not like there's not a lot of space. It is hard to get in and out from under there without it jacked up. So good on you. And he's crawling. The killer comes and like starts the car,
Such a good kill,
puts it in drive, and it comes and it runs him over, but it's right at the time that it's like the spikes of the parking garage, when you don't pay.
It pops up.
And it pops up. He gets hit, and so he comes all the way down
and gets impaled.
And it's gross, and it's a good kill.
It's a really good kill.
And this is one. Is this one? Do they find? No, they don't even. Reese finds. Dean's body. I believe.
Yeah, because this is where Natalie, Brenda, and Sasha are at the fraternity party.
Yeah, I was about to say, while this is all going on, they are at this fraternity party, having a good time, celebrating the massacre's 25th anniversary. This is a dark university.
To be fair, Scream 4 was celebrating a fucking stab-a-thon, movies based on real events in Woodsboro. So,
yeah. So, and then during this party is when another good kill. Like the kills in this movie are really good.
They are really good kills.
So I'm like, I don't know. It has to be like maybe a character thing. I just didn't enjoy this movie as much, but the kills are great. Like so. The killer forces Pop Rocks into Parker's mouth, and then
the drain. Whoa! You forgot one of the darkest scenes before this happens. The killer calls Parker on the phone. He's like, "Oh, what urban legend is this? Is this the one where the baby is going to be killed?" He goes, "No, it's the one where the dog ends up in the microwave." And he runs up the stairs, opens up the microwave, and his dog is just fucking fried.
Damn. Animal deaths.
He's like, "You sick son of a bitch!"
Yeah, we don't like the animal deaths. We don't like the animal
deaths.
No,
I am not laughing at the scene. I'm laughing at the fact that, like, they went there.
Yeah, and Michael Rosenbaum's great. Like, Michael Rosenbaum, he plays it up really well.
Which then leads to him in the bathroom and then the Pop Rock scene.
And that's nasty. And like I said, I didn't know it was coming back, but that's definitely something I was like, I would like to see that, and we ended up seeing it. So thank you, movie.
So yeah, for those who haven't seen it, go watch it. I would say, but the killer forces a funnel into Parker's mouth, pours the Pop Rocks in, and then uses Drano to as the soda pretty much to kill him.
Yeah. Oh, that's so gross. Like that's painful. That is a painful way to go. Bathroom chemicals are no joke.
No.
So that's painful for sure. And then Sasha at this time leaves the party because she has her late night show to do. And during the broadcast, she is attacked by the killer and I like this. This is the reason why I like this, with the headset on. So it sounds like she's doing you get the
a bid.
It's a performance art. And I'm like, that's such a college thing. It's performance art, and like he's like, oh, I'm feeling so gross. Like, this feels horrible. Why she's doing a great job. Like, no, you're witnessing someone be murdered.
Yeah. So the guy who said that at the party also mentions the fact that. He also mentions kind of another music urban legend where they're listening to a song, and he goes over to Sasha and he's like, because the song starts with a big scream, and he goes, that's a real scream from a girl who was being murdered. They took it from um, from a real life recording and added it to the beginning of the song. So
Yeah.
I love the fact that they are not even doing just like regular urban legends, like they're doing music urban legends as well.
Yeah, they're pulling urban legends. Like there's there's a million like movie urban legends. You know? Like so there's so much to pull from, and yeah, that was that's a cool little note. And meanwhile, this is happening with Sasha being completely she's being chased first. That's what's going on. She's being chased by the killer through the thing, which I'm like, man, these earphones have some great
quality.
Yeah, like man, this is because it's very clear what's going on. Natalie's the only one that notices what's happening, and for obvious reasons because she is the only one that thinks that
has witnesses this before.
And so she's running. She's trying to get there, and the killer has Sasha cornered at the on top of on the thing is the second floor. There's a glass.
Yeah, she's dangling off.
And then he's about to murder her right there. And Natalie runs up, and she's just too late. He murders her. He murders Sasha with the axe. And Natalie.
Really good chase scene, by the way.
Yes, this is a good chase scene. I like the use of the headset. Of the headset with the to broadcast it. And I think Tara Reid is great.
She's so good.
She's really good, and Natalie, I'm telling you, like Alicia Witt does a great job. She's a really good. I guess like not final girl, but because she's only in this one, but. Right? Is she? Hold on, you're cutting out.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
I would count her as a final girl for this movie.
Okay,
final girls don't have to be in franchises. If they're the last one standing in a movie, I count them as.
Okay, so yeah, I think she's a really good final girl. I enjoy enjoy her a lot. I feel she helps me feel what she's feeling. I get it. So then Natalie finds Paul and Brenda. Paul still thinks that Weckler had something to do with it. And so he gets Brenda and Natalie into his car. They're gonna go to Wexler.
This was the moment that I thought Paul was gonna be revealed as the killer.
Yes, I thought so too. And this isn't the last time because there was a point where I was like, is there a second killer? This is the part where we're kind of like wondering, like, okay, he's starting to like give off some creepy vibes. They stop at a gas station. While Paul's inside, Natalie and Brenda find Wexler's dead body.
It's in the trunk, right?
Yes, it's in the trunk. So they
of
flee
Paul's car.
It's in Paul's car. So they're running into the woods. Paul runs after them off because he's like, "What the hell's going on?
Why are you guys leaving me?"
Yeah, why are y'all just running into the woods? So he goes, he chases them. They're separated, and Natalie,
they meet up with the janitor.
Yeah, Natalie finds the janitor. He picks her up, but then the killer forces the car off the road, and janitor dies in the crash. And
there was a moment that I thought the janitor was the killer when she looks in the back and sees the coat, and he's like, "No, like it's not me." I like that in this third act. There's so many different red herrings that you never know who to believe.
Yeah, and I was actually thrown off by who it was.
I was too.
So yeah, Natalie, she's able to get away, and while passing Stanley Hall, Natalie hears Brenda scream, so she runs inside.
I love this third act; it's so good.
And we see her there. She finds all the bodies. All the bodies are there, and it looks like Brenda is dead too on the bed. But then Brenda knocks Natalie unconscious just after that. Yeah. And when Natalie comes to, we now have our reveal, the killer reveal of it's Brenda. Brenda is the killer, and this did actually catch me off guard. I was not.
Me too.
Part of me was like thinking, like, did they go with Death from Supernatural? And then obviously when he dies, you didn't. And then I'm like, okay, it's got to be Paul then. it seems like it's Paul.
Yeah.
In that moment, but she she wakes up and Brenda lets her know basically that the reason why I'm doing this is because your little thing that you were doing with Michelle,
Your little prank.
yeah, your little prank, is the reason why my fiance was murdered
Mm-hmm.
on his way to give me a ring.
Yeah.
Which is like, damn, like that's wild. That was like actually kind of crazy, and I was like, and when it was revealed to be Brenda, there was a moment where I was like, ooh, you're gonna have to explain this one, movie.
And they did.
A great explanation.
Yep.
And completely tricked me. It's why I enjoy the movie maybe more than I was expecting to. But I wasn't expecting that reveal to land. I think it lands better than I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I think it does too.
The reveal of I Know What You Did Last Summer's killer is not as impactful as this
because one. In that movie it does get kind of convoluted towards the end when you're kind of going back and forth between the present and the past. But in this one, it is so straightforward. It's a revenge plot. But when you realize that, like the reason she's using urban legends as her motive of killing is because an urban legend took someone that she absolutely loves from her. So she wants to take everything from Natalie in the same way that she did, was doing a stupid urban legend prank that cost her fiance.
That's the key, is that it's a prank. That is like, you're making fun of these urban legends. Well, these urban legends are dangerous, and this is what these urban legends can lead to.
Urban legends are normally based on a small amount of the truth.
Yeah. So Brenda is basically going to do the kidney taken out of the
kidney heist.
The kidney heist is the final act,
by the way,
plan.
She is Rebecca Gayheart, when she goes from normal Brenda to fucking psychotic Brenda, I fucking love her. She goes full Matthew.
Yeah.
Like she goes full stew mode, and I fucking love it. When she's like, easy for you to say, Miss Thang.
Yeah,
some of her liners are so good.
This ending kind of redeemed Rebecca Gayheart for me, because Brenda's not a bad character by any means, but I'm just kind of like, I don't really like have any.
She's just there.
Yeah, she's just there. For reasons that are now shown. They're trying to kind of put her under the radar. It worked, and she ended up nailing this last scene.
The one thing sorry for interrupting you again. The one thing that I love that they do, that they kind of messed up in Scream 3, in my opinion, is Brenda is in all of the movie. Like, there's not a moment where you don't have a scene with her, and if it's not, she's in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Scream 3, Roman is taken out in the last 45 minutes of the movie and then revealed to be the killer. Yeah. So you kind of have to remember back on who this guy is. Throughout the entirety of this movie, you know who Brenda is, you know what her character is, and she is always lurking in the background somewhere for you to notice her.
Yeah, and as most know, like, you know, Scream 3 is probably the least favorite of most people because of that. I think that's one movie that probably would have helped with a second killer, and it tried to do something different by putting the one.
There were supposed to be two killers in that one, but they cut it down because they didn't want the tie-in to Columbine at the time.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's I do remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a movie like that would have been held by the two killers. So that I think that takes away from Scream 3. Whereas this one, you know, the reveal of Brenda and the performance from Rebecca Gayheart is what pushes it, because this is like, listening to the script. This is when I said the script is tight, I meant that there's not a lot of holes, but there is some dialogue that's not great. I don't think this is like in terms of like a final monologue. This is the greatest of monologues, but because of Rebecca Gayheart's performance, it makes it work. And she comes after her, but Reese makes the save, comes in after getting.
Wait, there is a moment where they actually convince us that there are two killers.
Yes,
With Paul.
went right past it. Yes, Paul walks in and he's doing the and he's like basically like, yes, this is exactly what I need. I just need to get the information from you.
You get the revenge, I get the story.
Yeah, and part of me is like, all right, is it? First, I was like, when he was first walking in, I was like, okay, I think he's in on it. Like, I think he was helping her because there are some moments where like maybe some moments of strength. The fact that
it's the Scream 4, 5, and 6 where it's like there's no way that this young girl could lift up these guys, but I don't care.
Yeah, and so you're thinking you're thinking it's Paul also, and then he does the story. Then he's talking about the story, and I'm like, oh, okay, is this just sleazeball journalist side of Paul? And then you kind of like realize, like, you realize, and Brenda realizes that he's lying.
I love Brenda's exact lines are, "You're cute, Paul, but not that cute. Get over there."
Yes. So he's taken out of commission, and Reese saves the day. Reese comes in, sneaks up behind Natalie while she's monologuing, and attacks her. But Brenda, or no, she doesn't attack her. She has her at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And Brenda is stalling, takes out her blade, turns around, slices up Reese, and Reese is taken down, but she throws the gun. Natalie's able to get to the gun and shoot her, and Natalie falls out the window. We go downstairs. We wake up Paul. We call the ambulance for Miss Reese, for Officer Reese, for being the hero that she is. And they get into the car to leave. And out of nowhere, we get Brenda one last time inside the car. And because the music that plays, I forgot what the song was, but it was like, wait, no, I was thinking of something else. Sorry. She comes in, she attacks her, and you know where this is going. Paul's veering all over the road. They go to the bridge, and in a moment where accident, it is a complete accident, he crashes into it, and
she goes flying.
She goes flying out the window into the water, and that's the end of the movie. I mean, that's the end of this. The killer has been defeated. Paul and Natalie leave, and we cut to a group of students talking about this urban legend.
I love this ending so much.
And he's guys saying, like, this actually happened. This actually happened. They're covering it up because who wants to go to Murder University? They're covering it up, and he's like, who doesn't believe, or who believes me? And you get one woman saying, like, I believe you, but you're not telling it right. And then the camera pans, and we see Brenda in a very brown brunette hairstyle, different hairstyle, and she's like, she's gonna tell the story. And I'm not gonna lie, that ending worked for me. I think the ending, because of the performance of Rebecca Gayheart, completely works. And I'm not saying I would watch a sequel, but it is a cool ending.
Part 2 is not bad. Bloody Mary fucking sucks.
Oof.
Yeah, there are 3 of these movies.
So this movie, it's a good slasher. It's not one that, I don't know if it's one that I would revisit. But let's go ahead and look at the Rotten Tomatoes, because
it's got a low score.
Definitely unfair. The tomato meter is at 27%. The audience, not too much further, is 37%.
Bump it up to 100, ladies and gentlemen.
I'd go like a solid 50. Like, it's a 50. It's not one that and that's kind of how I rate movies. I rate movies based off of, like, if I would rewatch them again. And this is a movie where I'm like, I'm glad I have it under my belt. I'm glad that I've seen it, because it is a piece of slasher history, but it's not one that I'll revisit. It's not one that I would show, like, my girlfriend. I don't think she would love it. she might have a little bit of fun with it, but she
I'll
wouldn't.
say this is a movie that you can put on, have a few drinks,
Yes.
especially with people who are slasher fans as you are. You'll get a lot of entertainment value out of this movie. This is an easy movie. I like this, The Faculty, and even I Know What You Did Last Summer could be great, party movies to put on in the background when you're just like doing a Halloween party and you want something playing that's kind of fun and goofy. Realistically, I'd give this probably 65 or 70%.
Okay.
Just because I think, as you said, the script is really tight. There's not a lot of loopholes or holes that you can kind of puncture. I think the acting is actually pretty damn solid by everybody involved. The deaths are very unique and different. Each death feels unique and different. Like not one death is like any other in this movie. Like some slashers, you get kind of the same. Oh, it's just a knife stab or it's a throat slit. This one, you get kind of unique, fun deaths out of the way. So I'd probably rate it a solid 70.
Okay. Like I said, like I think 50. Like if I go out like out of my 5-star rating system that I normally do, it's like about 2.5. Like it's something that
I'd give it like a 3.5.
That I liked I liked watching it. It was enjoyable, but it won't be one that I'll go back and revisit.
I'll watch this movie like 6 times. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't like the script. I think it's tight, but I don't think it's well written.
That's fair.
I mean, dialogue wise, I don't mean like the plot, but dialogue wise, I think it's kind of wonky. It's very 90s. It is very 90s.
It really is very 90s.
Watch for people who have who know the 90s, who grew up in the 90s, because it feels very 90s.
Yeah, don't take my advice on slashers because I put Halloween H2O above the original Halloween in a Halloween ranking. So,
but yeah, man, this is a decent start to the one. I'm glad like kind of get one that's for the channel. That's for that's kind of a callback to the podcast and stuff, and that's great. So
yeah.
I'm not. I guess because you said like, does Chad hate it? Does Chad hate Urban?
Chad doesn't hate it. He just doesn't like it as much as I do. Carrie is the same way. She thinks it's okay. I don't know how much they like it or hate it, but they just know that it's a running joke that like I will always defend Urban Legend.
Yeah, they're like, why are you talking about Urban Legend so much?
Yep, exactly.
Which is hey, that's fair. I think my only knowledge of the film before watching it was I've listened to the Horror Queers podcasts regularly, and they've mentioned Urban Legend and like how I think one of them at least dislikes it, and one of them's like kind of like Chad and Carrie was like, it's fine, like it's a 90s slasher.
By the way, I love that Reese's character in this movie is obsessed with Foxy Brown.
Oh yes. I've just watched that.
It's great. This movie, it's not a masterpiece. It's not one of the greatest slashers of all time. But for me, it's a movie that when I'm bored or when I want something fun to watch, I'll put on Urban Legend or I'll put on something like The Faculty, because that style of like 90s horror, even though I was born in the last 2 years, the 90s and 98, I really resonate with those type of movies. Like hell, Scream is my favorite movie of all time. So anything that gets close to that kind of fun and unique style will always appeal to me more than something that is just a regular slasher.
Yeah, for sure. It's a like I said, it's a 90s slasher. It's it has that feel. It has that vibe of 90s with the slasher, with the whodunit. I mean, everyone loves a whodunit. It's always it's usually it's really hard to not have fun with a whodunit. It's
and
hard.
This is the one movie, the one slasher movie in a long time that does the red herring thing really well, where like you have like four or five times where you're like, oh, it's this guy, it's this guy, it's this guy, and they still find a way to trick you at the end.
Like this movie is not trying to reinvent the wheel.
No.
That's just so you can just kind of sit down and enjoy it, have fun with it. Like the kills, at least I think even if you don't like the script, if you don't like the acting or the performances, the kills are fun. They're
Yes, they are.
movie. So if you're a kills fan, which I'm big on kills. Like I can enjoy a movie, even if I don't necessarily enjoy the movie. If you give me some fun kills, I can have some fun.
And that's kind of where you are with this one. Like the script didn't really hit you the dialogue wise, but you love the kills. I can tell by the way you're talking about them.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, let's go ahead and head out. But let's go ahead and announce the next movie.
I'm so excited for this one. Another one of my favorite horror movies, man.
Yes, this one I have a much different relationship with than Urban Legend. Like I've seen American Psycho multiple times. I've watched YouTube videos about like diving into the character and all that. So I'm gonna have some fun with this one. But yes, we are going to be doing Christian
Another
Bale.
horror movie where Jared Leto plays the character named Paul.
Yes, character named Paul, played by Jared Leto. We're doing American Psycho, and that one is going to be a fun discussion. Thank you guys for joining us for the discussion on Urban Legend. Make sure you tune in next week for American Psycho, and we will see you guys later.
All right, guys, stay scared.